What's up? So, this is for April 27th. We've got Red Folder News Monday. We have FOMC on Wednesday on April 26th. So, coming into the week, I was looking to just be very patient, waiting for structure to set up and to align so that when we're coming into FOMC, we have structure actually laid out. And then we make our move with FOMC. So today is Monday, no red folder news, like I said. So I'm expecting accumulation, more so accumulation than clean directional moves. And honestly, coming in at 9:30, we just did not really have. We did not have liquidity that was set up at open. So there was a couple things that I was looking at. First off, let me go back to 9:30. We had taken this low that was from London. So we took London low on NQ, and on ES we had not. So we had a little bit of an SMT here. Now, when you see discorrelation between assets, there needs to be a model presenting towards that to actually confirm that it is an SMT. So if we see this move here, we need liquidity in the opposing direction, which we don't really have. There's this high, but there's no structure. There's there's these highs up here. This would have had to inverse this and then close through this change in the state. That's on the 3 minute. On the 1 minute, we never got the close through the recent series of down close candles. So there's that. This could have been a no trade day, just given that we didn't have red folder news, given that it was Monday, and given that there just really wasn't much structure laid out. So I was just very low on size. What I saw early on was NQ take this, ES didn't, and then I was like, okay, well, we could be bullish here. But we were respecting bearish PD array. We were closing through bullish PD array. So the hourly is doing that. The 15 minute, we are closing through these bullish for value gaps. We're supporting bearish argument. There's more sell side down here. There's a lot set up. Over here on ES, it looks like we have a ton of sell side that's been set up. So I was just staying patient. ES pushed higher at open, and it took this buy side. So we'll open here. We see buy side get taken. Now it doesn't get displaced through. There's just an equal high that gets put in. So then I'm looking at the first presented for value gap, which is here. I see that NQ is still selling off, so we have an SMT at this high, at this high. Now, NQ has already taken this internal low from London, but we have this over here that I'm looking at that may be the draw on liquidity. So I see a continuation. Now there's no for value gap in here. This is my for value gap. Generally the first presented is gonna be that I see pretty powerful. So still I'm looking to see, okay, if we want to move higher, if we want to end up going and taking these relative equal highs and these highs that we're putting up here, the turtle soup is going to be we put in this low right here after displacing higher, and then we move lower and take it, and then we keep moving higher. So there's internal manipulation delivering externally. But what we actually see is we just continue closing lower. So as soon as we close to this, I took one contract on ES. We still had not taken this sell side level on NQ. So this is where I go short. My stop is above the high that rebalanced to the for value gap. And we have these relative equal lows here. These did not get taken. We have the same low. So top left, you'll see 7,183.75 or sorry, 86.25, and then on this low, 83.25, 83.25, and then we have this low here. So my bracket is here. I'm in one contract, so this is bullshit. And then basically right after I enter, we just get a super quick move. Price just wicks, takes that out. I didn't have a limit order set, so we were like all the way down here. I ended up being, I think, around 183, so I just marketed out. Small win. It was just, I was focused on execution, and literally just that. So after that, price, what do we do? Now we start moving higher. This is what I was looking at. So we have this move, we move lower. Here's our inverse. I wanted to be on longs after we closed through this change in the state, but since it was so far above it and the inverse was down here, my stop loss would have been about 50 points, which I was not that cool with. So we end up taking this internal high that was in the morning, we leave it on ES, and then price bounces around. I had outlined that we were likely to accumulate. That's what we saw today. So that inverse, like I said, we end up reclaiming it, and then price begins moving higher. So now there's all this buy side set up, and then we move through it. But there was sort of an entry model that I was looking at here. I didn't take it just because I was in and I was out. I didn't want to sit around and trade all of Norwood Folder News Monday. So I just closed and I journaled, and that was the key for the day. Not every setup needs to be traded, and I'd rather miss a move than take something that doesn't exactly meet my criteria. At this point in here, price was looking super bearish. We were supporting all these order blocks on the 5-minute. On the 15-minute, we just had this one order block here. It was not getting, like, we were not closing above any bearish down close candle series, and we were just overall bearish. We had still supported this. We had not closed through any bearish for value gaps. You can see in here there's no for value gaps. It's just up and down, up and down, up and down. So price action was pretty gross. And yeah. So for the checklist coming in the morning, I did my full routine. I did not have a confirmed draw on liquidity in the morning, but we made one after open. I did wait for my model to present. I managed it correctly once I was in the trade. Once it hit my TP, I didn't wait for it to go back down, which was right in here. Like I think I would have gotten stopped out. And I didn't just extend my position. I just took it off after it hit my TP. And then I stopped after my trade limit, and that's a clean day. So that's a good day to start the week. I wasn't focused on money. I was just focused on execution and getting better and kind of just my heart posture. So moving forward this week, it is pretty simple, or at least I want to keep it simple. And it's just to stay really neutral. It's to trade small, and it's just to focus on execution, because days like this are the ones that build consistency. So I'm going to play the rest of the day out. We end up getting bought back up. And then here's close. We end up sweeping the overnight high. So we see a lot of accumulation in here, along with in here. Like we've still got all these lows intact. So just setting up for a move. We'll see what happens later this week.